Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, so we are getting started. Welcome to the .Netherlands. First of all, I would like to know if the audio is working fine. So please let me know. Yeah, you can just raise your hand with a hand raising button, or you can text me, or you can send me a message in the chat box. It's up to you, but please do some audio tests. If you can't hear me, then there could be something wrong with your speakers, because I can see in the GoToWebinar application that it's working on my side. So just let me know. Send me a chat or do hand raising or whatever works for you. Okay, I see people raising hands, so that's working fine. So thank you so much. So now you should be able to see me. Yeah, I am Dan. I'll be giving the presentation today, part of the webinar scheduled for today. And well, I hope it's nice and you will learn something or enjoy it. The name of the webinar is Integration Test-Driven Development, and it's a .NET Core approach. So, well, for .NET Core developers. And I'll discuss the what, why, and how of integration test-driven development. So the presentation, first I'll give a quick intro about myself and about the topic, then the what, why, and how of this topic. But the most interesting part and the most important part is what to do with this knowledge, and I will show some code and some ways of working with the concept. So let's get started. Me and the topic. Well, I'm a developer. I've got 12 years of development experience. I'm the founder and organizer of the group organizing this meetup called the .Netherlands. I introduced TDD and ITDD in several companies because I am a freelancer. So I visit a lot of companies. I'm a publisher at Code Project. Yeah, maybe you know some of my articles. That could be the case. If you know one of these articles, then you know me. If you don't, it's fine. Then you're here for an extra good reason. So the what of integration test-driven development is always the same as when in regular test-driven development. You write a failing test first before the actual implementation of your code. It does not have has to be a unit test. That's perfectly fine. If it's some other kind of test, for example, an integration test, which just doesn't isolate the dependencies, but just covers the full application. And it's .NET Core enables this. And what I mean with enables is that, yeah, well, it's possible to do it. Like I asked on Stack Overflow, like how should I do it on .NET Framework, like I do it on .NET Core. It should be possible, but yeah, people give some answers like you should have set up some OWIN server or so, but yeah, it's really hard to do it with .NET Framework, and .NET Core has other advantages than just the fact that it runs on Linux, which is the nicest advantage, but it's also more testable, and we should take a chance on that. The why of integration test-driven development. Well, unit tests can be so time-consuming to write, especially if you need to mock all your dependencies. And if you mock the dependencies and you mock them differently than they're supposed to be mocked, then you, or you just miss something, then yeah, unit tests do not cover everything. Unit tests, for the same reason, unit tests are not always realistic. And reproducing a production issue is really, really hard in some situations. When it comes to software development, we want to make software and then deploy it from development to test to acceptance to production. But when it comes to issues, we want to move them to left, like shift left, like is quite often said. So shift them from production to acceptance, test, dev, or preferably the laptop, so we can debug it and resolve it. And we want to cover as much in an early stage. So preferably, if it the best thing if it's already failing on your laptop, because then you can fix it immediately before it goes to production. The how is the code. I'll show you. So here we have Visual Studio, and here we have a unit test. First, we start with a unit test. This is a unit test with autofixture. Probably you're familiar with it. Autofixture is just like a container to resolve dependencies, depending on how it's customized. Here we use AutoMock customization, which means that we can freeze it. Freeze this mock, we can set up this mock, and we can then build the dependency, then call a method and verify the result and verify the how the mock is called. We have a search engine controller over here. It's really simple. There's some data coming in. This data calls a dependency, which is just a search engine. To be more precise, it's Google. And then a result is being returned, which is the number of characters from the Google page. And this is returned as a real web response. So let's see what it actually covers, because that's the most interesting part. Oh, I need to drop the existing coverage data, and then we can see what it covers. Yeah, we can see it. It covers actually only the controller we are testing, and it does not cover anything else. So it's a little bit normal for a unit test, but if we want to do a more realistic test, we should also cover the startup. We should also cover the program class, right? So if we want to do it, then let's just do that. Then we have we have other tests as well that also use the freeze methods. Yeah, exactly. This is a very similar test. So it uses a fixture that depends on the startup class. This fixture is based on a different library. It's called integration fixture. And it does the same thing. So the mock is frozen, the mock is being set up, the dependency is called, and then we call the created, excuse me, then it's being called. And then we assert the result, but we also verify the mock itself, whether it has been called correctly. Quite usual way of working. So let's see what what's the effect is on the actual coverage. So first we throw away the existing coverage data, and then uncover. Yeah. So let's see. I see the same controller class is being triggered, and but a program class is triggered as well, and the startup class is triggered too. So this is really nice that the application is really like self-hosted. And the only thing what we do with the self-hosting application is we replace the dependency with a mocked version. So that's really different. So the code is basically the same, but the coverage is much higher. And this such a high coverage is not just nice if your employer requires you to reach certain code coverage. It's not just like that. There's more to explore. So much more. So let's have a look what more we can do with that. There's a logic controller test. And here we do we use another fixture, a so-called refit fixture. It's basically the same, but it uses a real web client. Here you can see it. There's an it's a refit interface. So if you're not familiar with it, like the kind of call is being specified, and then an API response, which is like an HTTP API response, is being returned. So it's like that. And like based on the input, some output is expected. And why this is the case? Because if we look at the data class, then some fields are required. So, and if the required fields are not available, then we expect a bad request. So here's a bad request, a bad request, a bad request, a bad request. Here's okay. If all details are filled in, it's okay, but otherwise we expect a bad request. And we can see that this works. So that's nice, it works. So we have tests here, tests here, tests here. All these scenarios work. And the main difference here is that we really do a web request where it's not just a method call. And that's also the reason why we get such a really high code coverage, because we're doing more than a method call. It's really like an integration test that really integrates the application. It's self-hosted, the application, and that is how it works. So there's also something else I really would like to show you. It's that actually we did something strange, because here what we did is we froze an internal dependency. That's like really strange, right? So because actually we should mock the service. So therefore we have here some other tests where the server, the external server, is frozen, and not just the interface, but really the server is replaced by a self-hosted server. It's done with wiremock. So here, given a request that's actually using a get type, it's a response is being created with a certain body, with a certain status code, which is okay. So yeah, if you want to know more about wiremock, then Google for it. It's a way to mock external services. And this presentation will not be about wiremock, but just a quick intro so you know the concept if you haven't worked with it before. So let's give this a try and see if it works. Yeah, it works. And it's not just it works that it's yeah, when it's done. Here we have a free server method, and it actually does two things. I mentioned the wiremock, but it also replaces the configuration properties, and that's something really cool. And let me show what that actually means. Like if we put a breakpoint over here, and then we start debugging. Yeah, then we can see that this Google location is actually replaced by our mocked self-hosting server. It uses localhost instead of google.com. And to show you that I'm not cheating or so, this is really changed by our freeze method. Let's go to the app settings.json. Here we see Google is really Google. But if we run an integration test, then we need to mock our external dependencies because these might be offline or whatever kind of problem there is with. So that's the reason why we mock this. So that's another nice feature of the integration fixture. Well, also another difference between integration fixture and auto fixture is what I'm going to show now. Auto fixture requires auto fixture.automock, and then there's integration fixure. Yeah, it's this one, and it's ConnectingApps.integration fixture. And well, Connecting Apps is the name of my company because it's created by me actually. So, but yeah, I need to make it professional. So I put the name of my company in there. Yeah, you need to do this, add this dependency, and then you can work with integration fixture. It's completely open source, and if you don't want to use it, that's fine. Then you can just Google for .NET for integration testing. Oh, one moment, please. There's someone calling. Hello? Yeah. Yes, I'm back. Thank you for waiting, and excuse me for this interruption. So here you can see this integration test, and like here it uses the web application factory. So if you want to play it with it yourself and don't use my library, then search for this web application factory, because that's working really nice, and it really creates a self-hosting instance of your application. But yeah, maybe you don't want to use the write the boilerplate yourself. So then you can use the NuGet package I just showed to you. There's a NuGet page of this NuGet package. It's not the test enablers. It's the integration fixture. Yep. So it's here the explanation is given. It's like auto fixture, but for integration testing instead of unit testing. And there's a project site. Here's integration fixture, and you can see the full explanation of how to work with it. And you can also, one feature I didn't mention, but you can read it and play with it, whatever, or just check out the code, is the JSON customizer. It customizes the properties for test-specific, you can add test-specific properties, configuration properties to this service. So here there's refit support. There's the MockQ mocks are also there. So everything is explained in there. So yeah, I would hope you will all use it. Maybe you can let something know in the chat whether you're missing something or something is you don't like something or whatever. Or maybe you like it. That's also possible. No responses yet, but that's fine. You can also let me know in another way. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. So this the how is in the code, which I just showed. So let's go back. So what's the magic? The whole magic is that this application uses self-hosting. So self-hosting. Oh, one moment. Yeah. Self-hosting is like hosting the application in itself. So you don't need IIS, you don't even need to start the application from the unit test, or actually the integration test. The application is hosted. And self-hosting is done with the application itself, and it's hosted with the external dependency. So yeah, you can. It's also possible to change the app settings at runtime, and this is something I really like, because yeah, well, the app settings you have in your app settings file are really like for running the application, but you need to mock your external dependencies. You need to refer to those external dependencies. So you need to some way hack this. And so you need to change that, change the app settings at runtime. This is so really important. And so that's what I would call the magic, and that's also what it makes different from .NET Framework, that you can do these kind of things. So you can use this too by just yeah, as I told and explained, you can just download the NuGet package called integration fixture. Yeah, like I told, if you don't want to use it, it's fine as well. This is not like an advertisement or so. Like you can search for Google for .NET Core integration testing, or for this web application factory, which does the real magic. So and you can help by just joining the the development team by just making pull requests or report issues or whatever. I can help you too. I can answer a quick question if you have a quick question. I can give consultancy to your company if you have problems with test-driven development, or if you need help with the .NET Core project. I can even join your team as one of the team members in your Scrum team, for example. That's also possible. And I can, yeah, like whatever way you want me to help, yeah, I look forward to helping you with it. So, do you have questions? Let me see if I can show my face. Yeah, and I will. Raise your hand if you have questions. Oh, yeah, I see one question. Matt, can you ask your question? Hello, Matt. Are you with us? Oh. Ah, your Matt is self-muted. Anyone else with questions? Andy, example, do you have questions? No? Oh, I see some reply from Eric. He may try it or will try it. That's really nice. Other people have questions to me. So far, it's really clear. Okay. Maybe one question you have, Eric, I will unmute you. Yeah, Eric, what's your question?
I don't. Can you also, for generating test data, what would be your advice on that? Do you have then fiction files that you use, or do you all use it inline, or do you put it in JSONs?
Well, for test, that's a good question actually. So for those of one who didn't got it, like it's about test data and what kind of test data you use and how to create it, all these kind of things. One thing you could do if you just want to quickly generate some test data is you can use AutoFixture for that. So integration fixture is not a good way to generate data, but AutoFixture is. So you can use datetime customization for that, for example. Alternatively, what you can do is look into your log files if you have a running applications and just see what web requests are being done, and then you can add those web requests to your test cases and see if it works with that. Yeah, so it depends a bit on your situation, but since these kind of integration tests are intended to be like really realistic, I would search for in your log files to see what web requests are there and see if you can use those.
Okay, makes sense. Thanks.
Okay. Will the video recording be available? Yes, it will be available. I will post it in the group. So far, it's clear. It's nice. Sounds fine. Okay. Okay, that's good. So, yeah, well, if you have the best thing for me, if you just raise your hand, because then I can more easily see it if you have a question. More questions? No? Then I'll share some documents with you. First, the PDF. Yeah. And if you're interested in my help, maybe you want to know my CV, that's completely up to you. So yeah, well, then this was, I hope you all enjoyed it and learned something from it. And yeah, well, if you have issues, if you need help, then just give me a call. My phone number has been shared. So just let me know. And yeah, for now, yeah, I think this closes the meeting unless someone has really an urgent question. Well, I'm not in a hurry, but we're getting close to the end, I guess. Oh, the repository. Yeah. Someone wants the repository. So let me share the repository. So this is in the it's in the chat. So here's the repository. And yeah, my LinkedIn. Let's share that as well. Okay. The video will be available. Okay, then I think this concludes the meetup. So yeah, I'll share my phone number as well again, in case you missed it. So if you need any kind of help, then please just let me know, and I look forward to helping you in whatever way. Okay, now this concludes the meetup. So I wish you all a very good evening.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.